All right.
Cool.
Hey, everybody. This is Matt Stansberry, and I am here with Mr. David Wilson, artist behind the Rust Belt Arcana tarot deck and our book, my co-creator, my partner. And David is rocking out, and we're doing the first of our videos talking through each of the cards. And David and I wanted to start this one together just to talk about the decks. What's going on, D-Dubs?
Not much. Ready to talk cards.
Nice. Well, let's go through what's the first thing that we're going to talk about. So these are going to be short videos, and we're asking folks to kind of focus on three things. And you can see I've got some of my originals from the Rust Belt Arcana behind me here in my office, which is pretty dope. Let me show these bad boys off. Can you tell us a little, David, about what these are? What was your process? What were your materials? What were you using?
So for the finals, I ended up using waterproof ink and watercolor. And I actually found this morning. When we started this project, it was just going to be the book, right? And when we were pitching Belt, I knew they wouldn't do like a color book because cost-wise, it's insane. So we actually started, I don't know if you remember these, with just ink drawings. So this is just ink. We were just going to do black and white. And then when we got further into the book and kind of like realized what it could be and like started thinking about the possibility of doing a deck, I got really excited at like, I don't know, the more essays I read and the further you got into your process, I kind of committed to wanting to do not just ink drawings. I wanted to, I don't know, your writing inspired me to kind of like step my game up and be like, these shouldn't just be ink drawings. Like I should actually, I don't know, take it further. And that's when I decided we should do watercolor. Even if they're going to be black and white in the book, there's something, I don't know, special about watercolor. So then, we turned all of our ink sketches into watercolor paintings.
And was there a paper or a particular watercolor you used for these bad boys?
I forget the watercolor I used. I think it's just Winsor Newton. Paper is 300-pound cold press, so I don't have to stretch it. I think
dope. Yeah,
that's one of the nice things. Oh, here, perfect. So, we went from this to this.
That's radical. I love it. Still one of my favorites. Still one of my favorite cards.
Yeah. So in a lot of like, I know this one. So I've like part of these was like part of doing a series is like you learn and get better as you go on. And I remember I was getting bored, I think around maybe this, not bored, but like I was having fun and I wanted to change it up. And I remember I saw a video somewhere. So I started making my own pen nibs out of LaCroix cans.
Right. That's right.
To get these good textures, ink textures down here.
That's dope. Pen nibs out of LaCroix cans. I remember when you were messing
so like
with
what
that.
you're drinking right there.
Yeah.
Cut it up, fold it, tape it to like a, break off a pen or a pencil, tape it to it and dip and drag.
That's rad. I want to point out that David is wearing a Hate Theory sweatshirt. So for those of you who don't know, David and I grew up in the same town, went to the same high school. I actually taught at David's high school for a year, and we rocked out to this band Hate Theory, I think since I was like in 10th grade. David, you were barely born, but you were rocking out to them as a kid.
I think this is from 2001.
That's dope.
This hoodie.
Hate Theory forever. That's all I'm going to say. Jumping into the next question, David, talk to me about the challenges specifically of doing a 78 card deck. There's a lot of artists around who think, let's do a tarot deck. What do you expect, not expect? What do you learn kind of forcing yourself through all 78? One of those things, it feels like you're the dog who caught the car. You got a lot to do.
I think, I wouldn't have done it if you wouldn't have analyzed the deck and what it should be. I think for me, that was, if I were to sit down and like, if somebody was like, hey, David, you should do a tarot deck, I don't know if I'd want to take the time to like sit down and analyze it and conceptualize a deck. That's a lot of work. I mean, you know how much work it is. You fucking did it.
Yeah.
So having that done, it was really nice for me. I didn't have a lot of thinking to do. It was more play.
It's interesting having to separating out the conceptualization and the actual art.
Which,
Yeah,
you know, I like concepting, but on something on a scope that big, you know, how many years did you work on the book? And that was 22 cards to get those visuals. And then, you know, you and I came up with a system when we had to do the rest, the minor arcana, where it was like, okay, I can't physically, time-wise, do 78 full paintings again. So we were like, okay, let's pick species, and we'll have like a white background so I can eliminate backgrounds and focus on, you know, the actual species and highlighting that and how that relates to the theme of the card. So kind of scoping that down and saying, here's my limitations. If you set those limitations, it's a series, so it'll work. And then you kind of just get to go. And you're not sitting there 32 cards in going, okay, what do I do next? Well, it's already planned out. You've already, you know, scoped it out and set like a ritual for yourself.
That's right. That's dope. Setting the parameters beforehand.
Right.
Okay. Third question. What has changed for you? What's the impact been kind of in the intervening 4 years since we're on our third printing of this bad boy and we've made some tweaks and everything else? What's going on? What's changing?
I think we're on like a 5th printing.
Oh my God, 5th printing. Yeah, boy.
To be honest, I didn't think it would sell. I remember talking with Anne, who runs Belt Publishing, and she's like, okay, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want to, you know, determine financials, or like how many we should get, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't bet the farm on this. Like, do people buy tarot decks? Are they going to buy my tarot decks? You know, are they going to buy Matt and I's like little brainchild of, you know, hiking around Brecksville for a year and then being like, we should write a book about tarot? I didn't think it would sell. And I'm always astonished how much people enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm thrilled with it. It's kind of grown on me, you know. So David and I have both been in bands and heavy metal stuff for a long time, and it's one of those things where by the time you get an album recorded and printed and put out and you get it done, you're so sick of it. Like you're like, oh God, I'm so sick of this. And this is one of those things where I felt that way going into the book and the deck and the things, and like revisiting it now, I'm like, whoa, this holds up. I'm thrilled. I'm surprisingly happy with it.
You know, what always gets me too is like someone will like write a really thoughtful review on it. And, you know, I've read a couple criticisms of it. I've read some good things about it, and I think all are valid. And it's always nice to kind of hear people talk thoughtfully about your work, even if it's a criticism or maybe something I don't agree with, or something, you know, we messed up that I agree that we messed up and maybe should have thought about. But having that, like, I don't know, it seems like everyone who's buying the deck, and maybe that's the culture of people that buy tarot decks, is like, it's really thoughtful. And it's nice to have that in like an art world where, I don't know, a lot of art can just be like, oh, that sucks, or you're the best, or like, there's a level of thoughtfulness that people have with this deck that like amazes me.
Yeah, that's a good point. The idea of the audience for a tarot deck and a book about tarot is a different audience than maybe just traditional art or just traditional nature writing, science writing, for sure.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out, since I got you and I got these images up here, just how kind of personal these are. Like the whole deck is pretty personal. Like this is this amazing shot of the Cleveland skyline at night and the migrating sparrows, and this is, you know, a picture of my kid holding a box turtle up in the woods. I mean, it's a very personal deck for us to be able to talk about these things. I know you've got a lot of that in yours as well. I guess that's one of the things that was struck me, is just how
this one's personal to me.
That's too personal. Oh God, the devil. What's your favorite? What's your absolute favorite?
I always go back to the High Priestess. I think it's because it's the first one I did, and I was really excited to start.
Those lines are so baller and those owl's feathers, man. That's one of my favorites. Absolutely.
Yeah, like I don't know. There's something about that one that I'm drawn to. I like Justice a lot, and the Earth, which was a lot of your not the Earth. What is it? The World.
World.
Yeah. Which was a lot of your conception, like formulated. But I don't know, that one at first I was like, when you sent it to me and you're like, this is what I think visuals we should use, I was like, my God, man, like trees growing out of a turtle back. Like
yeah
and then
flock of seagulls coming off of it.
And I think there's something with that one, in the major deck, where all of these are full backgrounds, edge to edge, painted. And that one is like the end card of the major. And we didn't do a background, and I don't know if we did it subconsciously or it's just how it worked, but it's almost like you reach the end and it's open. Like there's this weird release to the major.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's rad. My favorite is the Emperor. I mean, hold that bad boy up right there, that bowfin. Yeah, that's mine. So, and you may not notice what that is, but this is unless you've read the book, but that's a ball of that dude's little babies. The bowfin's a good dad. That's his program. He's a protective, kind of intense dad, and that's all his little ones. So that's it's a card that speaks to me, man. That's one of my favorite pieces of art.
Yeah.
So awesome, homie. Well, thanks for kicking off this first one.
Yeah.
Good to have you on. Good to see you in the pandemic, but I appreciate it. And
yeah, man.